Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathiran, amma ba'd. In our last class, we were explaining the third section of Kitab al-Tahara, the book of purification and the book of purity of Imam ash-Shaukani rahimahullah ta'ala, in which he was talking about cleaning or cleansing things that have become impure. Pure surfaces, pure matters, garments, places which najasa have fell upon or come in contact with. And he was explaining with regards to washing that thing until there's no taste, until there's no sign, any trace, any smell, any color of that impure matter. Also with regards to one's shoes, with regards to one's sandals or boots, things like this. Also with regards to something taking on a different form and turning into something else. Okay? And we also mentioned that which cannot be washed, what is the proper way of removing impurities from it and bringing it back to its pure original state. The author concluded that section by mentioning that water is the obligatory matter, the obligatory cleansing agent, and nothing can be used besides water unless it is allowed in the Sharia. And once again, as we said before, this is the metin of ash-Shaukani rahimahullah ta'ala. These are the conclusions of the author rahimahullah ta'ala. And as we said before, it does not mean that that is the most correct opinion or the strongest opinion, even though that's relative in itself. Strongest to who? Correct to who? That's relative. So we see that's a very big mistake on a lot of tulab al-ilm. They say, the strongest opinion, okay? And they don't leave it, well, we see to be the strongest. They don't say that, but they say this is the strongest opinion, okay? Or even some very unfortunate layman people, they say this. Well, that's not the strongest opinion. Give me the strongest opinion. What's the strongest opinion? Okay, the strongest opinion is relative. It may be strong to you, it may be weak to the next man. Okay, now if there's something that is extremely weak, something that's clearly a mistake, that is far from the Kitab and the Sunnah, based off something weak, based off of something that is not solid, then that's a different issue. That is a different issue. There are many issues like this in fiqh. However, when the adillah can go both ways, when many ulama of the past took the opinion of a thing, if not most of them, let alone the pious predecessors and the companions, then it's not for somebody to just come and jump off the joint and say, that's not the strongest opinion, and I have the strongest opinion. La. Don't do that as a student of knowledge, let alone as an everyday layman Muslim. But as we said before, this doesn't mean that that is the consensus of the ulama. It doesn't mean that that is the opinion of the one delivering the class. But as a beginner, as a baby, we're taking baby steps and we're learning in simple basic ABCs. Okay, inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next section, the author says, Babble Chabad al-Hajjah. He says the section of relieving oneself. Relieving oneself. Or some people may say using the bathroom. Others may say answering the call of nature. Al-Muhim, removing those things from your body. The author, rahimahullah, he says, على المتخلي الاستتار حتى يدنو والبعد أو دخول الكنيف وترك الكلام. He says, upon the one who is relieving him or herself the following things. In other words, he's going to mention rulings or etiquettes that the one who's relieving himself or herself must do. Something that you have to do or something that you have to avoid. Clear. And with regards to using the bathroom or relieving oneself, then there are things that are obligatory and there's things that are only recommended. There are things that are disliked and there are things that are clearly impermissible, and some things are considered to be from the kaba'ir, from major sins. The author says the one who is relieving him or herself, number one, he says, al-istitar hatta yadnu. He must keep himself or keep herself covered, not to expose your awrah until you become low. In other words, in a sitting or squatting position using the bathroom. This is not talking about the obligation of sitting down when urinating, okay? Whereas that's a different issue. Is it obligatory? Is it haram to urinate standing up? That's not what he's speaking about right now. But if a person is going to use the bathroom and he's going to sit down or going to then he cannot take his clothes off and dress and uncover yourself until you're lower In other words, further from visibility. He says, وَالْبُعْدْ أَوْ دُخُولُ الْكَنِيفِ. Number 2, you also must go far away. Be far from the people when relieving yourself, or entering into the bathroom. Entering to the bathroom, whether it's in a rural place, an outhouse, okay, a stall, porta potty, or in modern times, inside of buildings, they have the bathroom or the restroom or the lavatory. Tayyib. Number 3, he says he must also avoid speaking. You're not allowed to speak when you're relieving yourself. Sub issues is is it haram to talk when you're in the bathroom, or is it haram to speak when you're relieving yourself? These are 2 different issues. Many people, they mix them up. Many people, they get confused. Just because you cannot talk when you're relieving yourself doesn't mean that you can't talk when you're in a washroom. Doesn't mean that. He then says, number 4, وَالْمُلَابَسَةِ لِمَا لَهُ حُرْبَةٌ أو حُرْمَةٌ. He says you must also throw away, do away with, do not go into that place with anything that is sacred. Anything that is sacred. Whether it's a copy of the Quran al-Kareem, whether it's something with Allah's name on it, subhanahu wa ta'ala, something from Allah's attributes, a book of knowledge that has verses from the Quran and a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, do not take it into the bathroom. We have many issues that pertain to this one, such as, is it permissible to put it in your pocket if you cover it up? What if it is a means of necessity? I'm afraid that if I leave this book outside of the restroom, someone will steal it. Okay, a valuable book here. If I take this book and I leave it outside, someone may take it. It may become destroyed. Somebody may disrespect it. I may be in a place in which there are Muslims. They may throw it away. They may do something negative to it because it has some foreign Middle Eastern type of language on it. Okay, so is it permissible to take it into the bathroom out of necessity? That's a different issue. That is a different issue, okay? But he says you must try to keep it off of you and keep it away from you, or when you go inside of that place to relieve yourself. He then says, number 5, وَتَجَنُّبُ الْأَمْكِنَةِ الَّتِي مَنَعَ أَنْ يَتَخَلِّ فِيهَا شَرْعٌ أَوْ عُرْفٌ. You must also avoid any place that you're prohibited from relieving yourself in the Sharia or the custom of the people. Either the Sharia tells you do not relieve yourself in this place, do not use the bathroom in this area, or that which is known to the custom of the people, such as in the middle of the road, as it states in the authentic hadith, in the middle of the road, such as in a place of water for the people, where people drink from or they get benefit from this water, okay? Under trees, especially trees that provide shade for the people, trees that bear fruit. People sit beneath those trees and they rest. If you use the bathroom there, you will soil those places, okay? And it will begin to curse you, waliyadhu billah, all right? As it states in those hadith. Or any other place which is customarily looked down upon. Where I come from, if a man goes into the middle of the street and relieves himself, if a man relieves himself in the middle of the sidewalk, if he goes into a restaurant and this and that, then we look at this disgusting man. This is trifling. That's abomination. Look at that. How could he do that? Okay, this man is uncouth. He's a savage, whatever you want to call him. Okay, he says you must also avoid that. And that is because, as we've explained in many other classes, and we'll explain briefly here, that in Islam, a custom or culture is okay. And it is considered as long as it does not go against the Sharia. As long as it doesn't go against the authentic Sunnah, then a person can have his own customs and his own cultures. All right? And that which is praiseworthy and blameworthy in those customs and cultures remains until it is clearly against the Quran and the Sunnah. So therefore, if a person wants to dress like this, he can dress like that. You don't have to wear a white thobe. It's not wajib. It's not obligatory. Is it a good thing? Yes. Is it recommended? Yes, it is. Whereas the Prophet ﷺ wore white. The Messenger of Allah told us to wear white. The Prophet ﷺ, one of his favorite pieces of clothing was the qamis, so similar to this type of thobe. Do you have to wear kufi? We're not saying that a man has to wear kufi, but we say that a Muslim man should cover his head. It's recommended. It's a good act. It's a means of shyness, a means of respect, a means of dignity, a means of distinguishing yourself as a Muslim, let alone a student of knowledge. A student of knowledge should never be seen outside of his house with his head uncovered. And that's another issue. We find many people who are students of knowledge and some who claim to be students of knowledge, every day they walk around with their heads uncovered. And that is not from the sunnah of the Rasul sallallahu, nor is it from the way of the companions and the pious predecessors, nor is it from the way of the ulama, even if you're in America or the UK. Even if you're in America or the UK, a student of knowledge should not go outside of the house with his head uncovered. And very seldom, 99.9, if not 100%, you'll never find a person of knowledge in the lands of the Muslims with his head uncovered outside of the house. Abadan. Unless you make Hajj. That's it. That's it. Other than that, his head is always going to be covered. And there's a reason behind that. There's a reason behind that. But we're not saying that's haram. Okay? If you want to wear a kufi, if you want to wear an Afghani type of hat, okay? Okay? If you're a person who wears a turban, la bas. If a person wears this type of head covering from his country, he's from India, he's from Timbuktu, la bas, that's fine. As long as it doesn't go against the kitab and the sunnah. Alright? A person wants to wear black, blue, yellow, green, la bas. As long as it doesn't go against the kitab and the sunnah. That's your culture. A person wants to eat fish, a person likes to eat red meat, a person is a vegetarian, a person eats rice, a person eats couscous, la bas. As long as it doesn't go against what? The kitab and the sunnah. Everybody understand this? This is simple. And the same applies to women's dress, as we've explained before in our lessons on the hijab of the Muslim woman. She doesn't have to restrict herself to a specific color or a specific type of overgarment, as long as it doesn't bring attraction, as long as it's loosely fitting, as long as it's not perfumed, as long as it doesn't bring infatuation to her, and so on and so forth, as we previously explained. Everybody get the point that we're trying to make here? Is that the customs of the people, you're allowed to keep your customs, as long as they don't go against what? The kitab and the sunnah. Many people, they go extreme on both sides. Some people, they think that the Arabian custom or Saudi custom or Yemeni custom is the sunnah. And they go back to their countries and they force the people, you have to wear this. You have to dress like this. You have to cover up like that. You must. It's obligatory to wear a black overgarment. It's obligatory to wear a white thobe. And the white thobe has to be this. And that's ignorance. Pure ignorance. Pure ignorance. And that is nothing from the way of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And then others who go on the other side of extremism. And they say, I'm not wearing no dress. I'm not wearing no thobe. I'm not trying to be no Arab. I'm American. Okay, or I'm African American. I don't have to dress like that. I'm not trying to be an Arab. I'm not trying. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Who said that you have to dress like that, akhi? No one did. However, why do you have such apprehension and such hatred and such dislike and distaste for the dress of the Muslims? You understand? So in Islam, the best way to be is what? Directly in the middle. Not extreme nor negligent, right in the middle course. The author, he then says, and that topic right there can be spoken about in a very, very long, detailed lecture. We've spoken about this many times before. And the only reason why I went off the topic so much is because it is so important. And in most cases, you'll find one or two extremes. He then says, وَعَدَمُ الْإِسْتِقْبَالِ وَالْإِسْتِدْبَارِ لِلْقِبْلَةِ, and not facing or turning your back towards the qibla. Not facing the qibla, nor turning your back towards the qibla when using the bathroom. Inside of a building, outside of a building, the author did not explain. His opinion here is that you cannot do it. You must avoid it. He then says, وَعَلَيْهِ الْإِسْتِجْمَارُ بِثَلَاثَةِ أَحْجَارٍ طَاهِرَةٍ, and he must use 3 clean stones with regards to relieving yourself. A person using the bathroom and having stool or waste coming out of his or her body, then he must use 3 clean stones. Not 2 stones, not 4, he says 3. And the stones must be pure. أَوْ مَا يَقُومُ مَقَامَهَا, or anything that takes the place of those stones, such as tissue. Okay? Anything that is clean, that is pure, takes the place of rocks and stones. He then says, وَنْتُنْدَبُ الْإِسْتِعَاذَةُ إِنَّ الشُّرُوعِ, and a person should seek refuge in Allah when he begins, before you begin to use the bathroom. وَالْحَمْدُ بَعْدَ الْفَرَاغِ, and praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after you are finished. All of these points are not agreed upon by the ulama. There are further issues and details on these points. This is what the author mentioned. It's a summarized beginner's manual of fiqh. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.